Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be doing a brief Robinhood portfolio update, and I'm not going to be showing all of the stocks in my portfolio, but I have done a video like that before. If you do want to go check that out and see all of my average costs and the amount of shares I have, but in this one I'm just going to show some of the stocks that I'm adding to or thinking about adding to in the near future. And as you can see here, I'm up about 20% in the last year, or a little under $4,000. But that's actually because I'm down a few thousand in the last couple of weeks just because the market's been so volatile. And here you can see just about 2 months ago, I was at about 26,500. And then it dipped down to 22,400 just within a week. So it really shows how volatile the market can be right now. And I really wanted to focus on that in this video with the election happening tomorrow and the market being very volatile over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I wanted to show some of my top holdings. I've got 26 shares of Tesla, which I'll talk a little bit more on, Microsoft 8 shares, Google a share, and then MasterCard 3 shares. And I'm actually thinking about picking up another share of two of MasterCard if it dips below $280, which I think is very likely within the next week or so. And here's my position on Tesla. It's got a current market value of about $10,000, and I've got 26 shares. Originally, I had just 4 shares before the stock split. Which had an average cost of, after the stock split, a little over $200, but the average cost has really gone up since I've been adding more shares, up about 47%. I was up over 100% since I added the shares and since the market was up a little bit more. And with all of their new vehicles, new factories coming out, new markets, autonomy, batteries, they're scaling operations, this is really a no-brainer for me for a long-term investment, and I'm a huge bear when it comes to Tesla. I'm very bullish when it comes to Tesla. And next up is Microsoft, which is about 7.5% of my portfolio, average cost of $190, and I added a few shares. I think it was actually a few weeks ago, so it might have been in my last video as well, but I think I'm expecting them to do really, really well with the upcoming Xbox Series X, and they also recently acquired ZeniMax Studios, which is going to be really, really fantastic for them long-term, because either it's going to be Xbox exclusive for their games, or Sony is going to have to pay them all kinds of fees that they normally didn't have to for these huge games that always do extremely well. So huge one for Xbox and Microsoft there. A couple more stocks I wanted to talk about here are Carnival and Royal Caribbean. I invested in those heavily in March and April. I already had a couple of shares of each beforehand, which is why my average cost is a little bit high. I was expecting these to rebound a lot more quickly than they have, and I've kind of underestimated COVID, but I'm still holding them. I don't plan on selling until I do get a decent return, and I really wouldn't even mind holding on to them for years just because they do have a good dividend once they are bringing in more revenue again. And then I have a few shares of AMD. I bought one share of them around $40, and then I've added a few more since. They're a stock that just won't stop increasing. They're going in, the AMD chips going in the new Xbox, and they're constantly getting added into new laptops. And I think they're going to continue taking market share away from Intel. And AMD and NVIDIA are going to be the two biggest chip companies eventually, even over Intel, just because they're developing and putting a lot into R&D. And then lastly is CRISPR. They're the industry leader in gene editing, and they're actually one of the top holdings in ARC Innovation, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. And then just at the end here, there's also Boeing, which I have 4 shares of. They're actually pretty down right now. They were up over $180, and they're back down to $144. But there's a lot of speculation about them being really low on cash, but I don't think there's any chance that they are going to go bankrupt just because they're a supplier of the U.S. military, so they'd bail them out if they truly needed it. And then there's Jets, similar to Royal Caribbean and Carnival. It's an airline ETF, but I did expect it to be up more by now, but eventually it will, and I'll still get a decent return. Just going to have to hold on to that for another few quarters. Then there's ARC, which is ARC Innovation. It's actually my favorite ETF right now. It invests in a lot of different growth companies that don't even necessarily need to be profitable. Profit doesn't matter. It's just companies that are really focused on innovation for the future. And Tesla is their top holdings, which is their top hold with their stock that I'm a really big fan of. And this is an ETF I would definitely recommend adding to your portfolio, especially if you don't really have any ETFs in there. But I have just 12 shares at an average cost of about $87.67. I just added a few more recently because they're a little bit down. This is just about 5% of my portfolio, but I'm sure I'll continue adding to it. And then lastly here, I just wanted to show my position for Jets. I have 37 shares at an average cost of $13.45. So I did buy in really low back in March and April. So I'm still up 25%, but this is not as much as I would have liked to have been by now. So I probably will end up selling once I have about a 50% gain. So I might have to hold on to it for maybe another 3 to 6 months. And then lastly, I just wanted to show what Robinhood considers to be a breakdown of my portfolio. I consider Tesla to be more of a tech company than an automobile company. Let me know down in the comments what you think about that. But here, Tesla is actually considered a consumer goods and manufacturing company, which is why those are 31 and 30%, which I think is a little bit funny. But I'm really, really heavy in tech, which a lot of people would advise against, but I think really tech is the future. And even if we are in a little bit of a tech bubble right now, it's still going to end up going back up big time in the long run. I make a ton of brief stock analysis videos on my channel. I've analyzed most of the stocks that I went over in this video, as well as other ones in my portfolio, so be sure to come check those out if you are interested in those. Subscribe for more content, and thank you so much for watching to the very end.